G'day, you depraved demonettes of Slaanesh. It is the coach here, and I am here with Mateusz from Poland, who did incredibly well with the Hedonites of Slaanesh, went 5-0 at GT. I pronounce it as Lodz, but I've been told very quickly in Polish it is not Lodz. What is it, Mateusz?
Hi, everybody. It's Łódź, GT Łódź.
I read Lodz, but there's also a lot of squiggly lines. So clearly there's some pronunciation and things that I'm clearly missing. But I am here with Mateusz, who is an absolute depraved demon of Slaanesh. You've done incredibly well, and it actually really surprised me. Not that you did really well, but people don't talk very highly of Slaanesh. It's about Tzeentch, it's about Nurgle, and I know you were talking a little bit about some of, Vince Venturella from Warhammer Weekly's thoughts recently, talking about fixing and, doing a bit of a deep dive on Slaanesh. And I know you've got some really good opinions on the faction. So before we get into it, we talk about your list, we talk about how you're looking at this from a competitive lens. I might throw it over to you. Introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Mateusz, and I am playing Warhammer Age of Sigmar for like 3 years. I started with the 3 people. Some new players might not know what it is, but it's like very old-fashioned without battle tome. Yes, then I swapped it swapped to Cities of Sigmar, then OBR for like half an year, and now for 6 months I'm playing Slaanesh.
So what have you found? Like, what drew you to Slaanesh? Because, I love the sculpts, but it's been a long time since it was, perceived at a very good competitive level.
Yes, I liked Slaanesh from the very beginning. I mean, from when they got an update battle tome in the 2nd edition, and the beautiful model of Keeper of Secrets. But they were overpowered. Yeah, they were like on the top. They had like 65% win rate. And to be honest, I don't like OP armies. I'm always trying to find like something not the best to play with. So yeah, I was looking on the Slaanesh through all this time, and then when I was playing OBR, we went with my team to Team Championship of Poland. We went well, like finished on 3rd place, but OBR just don't fit into the 3rd edition. They badly need a new battle tome, and they are slow. It's not my style. That's why I only played it for 6 months. And when we were heading back to our city, I just picked the battle tomes and I started to read which army is okay, which not. And I found the picture of Keeper of Secrets, which I really liked, and I've heard from all around the world that Slaanesh is on the bottom, and I said no, that must change. And I've decided I also have beautiful models like Blizzbarb Seekers, Sleekblade Seekers, Keeper Archers. They are awesome models, and I decided, okay, let's swap it. Let's change from elite army like the OBR to something that's some fast units, light armored. That's why I picked the Slaanesh. And
no, I like it.
And also, when I picked them, first message from my friend, I said, "Don't do it, mate. Don't do it. It's better to pick Beast of Chaos than this crap." I decided, oh no, now I will pick them for sure.
Look, they're not the worst faction, but there's some real big challenges, right? They're paying for the sins of their past. There was that time where Slaanesh was incredibly overpowered. They would make everybody fight last. They would generate lots of depravity. They'd get a Keeper of Secrets on the table. Usually in like turn 2, they'd be generating a Keeper of Secrets. And when they got that update in 2021, it was Daughters of Cain and Slaanesh. There was a big discrepancy because Daughters of Cain kind of went off to do really well, but Slaanesh did quite poorly. And, and I'm already seeing in the chat, CJ talking about, the fact that they've had some really tough matchups. So they'd be curious to kind of see how you're thinking about it in 3rd edition, because when I looked at your list, and we will talk about the list a little bit later once we kind of get through the theory, there's some units that you've chosen that aren't natural choices. People that aren't, when I've seen people talk about Slaanesh, it's not the units you've picked.
Yes, I think. Okay, let's finish. Okay. I think the main problem of people picking the Slaanesh, they are trying to find good units in the battle top. but we don't have good units in this battle tom. Okay, we have average unit, we have medium units, but we don't have good units. People would say that everything is overpriced. I know some people just want to play demons, just want to play mortals, and etc. But we don't have good units in that army. We have maybe Sig Vault, which you can say only by War Scroll, okay, this guy is okay, but Keeper Secret is overpriced. Everything seems to be overpriced, but they've got a lot of synergies. Of course, depravity. You cannot look onto the Slaanesh just by the War Scroll. You have to see it in the bigger picture, and I think this is the main problem because okay, Twin Souls look okay, 2 damage, but they don't have rent. They have you have to pick which ability you will use first, reroll hits or ward save of 5, but you don't know what will happen in round 3 or 4. And you don't know which ability you will have to have in that particular turn. So that's why I think that Twin Souls are really, really bad. And I think you have to, when you are planning to play Slaanesh, you have to read Battle Tome twice. You have to read Slave to Darkness Battle Tome twice, Beast of Chaos Battle Tome twice. Like it's playing Legion of First Prince. You have to read 5 battle tomes, see the big picture, and then think about it. What can fit into this army? Because War Scrolls are not good in the Slaanesh army.
Well, we'll talk about. I mean, you obviously did well enough, right? I guess what I'm hearing from you is that it's not the War Scroll they're going to win the games alone. You don't have a Marathi. You don't have a Stormdrake Guard. You don't have particular units that are going to carry your way to victory. And when you do, you're going to earn it. You're going to be leveraging your depravity points. You're going to be leveraging the real speed. And I think that is one thing I really want to understand from you is how you're tapping into some of the speed that is Slaanesh, especially with the board size kind of shrinking. The requirement for speed and some of the speed that you have, like the run and charge kind of shenanigans or the run and shoot, you probably the distance between us is kind of reduced a lot. So do I even need this level of speed? But before we get into all of that, I want to understand, in 3rd edition Age of Sigmar, what's Slaanesh good at? Let's paint the positives first before we talk about some of the challenges we're trying to overcome.
Okay. I think Slaanesh is good at speed, as you said. I think we have we can deal a lot of mortal wounds. Of course, with allies, with all those battle tomes combined, we're good at speed with mortal wounds. We're good at fighting, at shooting. So I think Slaanesh, maybe it's not the best in one thing, but it's good at all the things. And the key to win with the Slaanesh, I think it's movement. So I think the best rule for Slaanesh is its movement phase, its movement. So I think the Slaanesh is good at movement.
Why is movement so good? Because I mentioned already, there's less objectives, the board size has gotten smaller. Why is movement so important to you, and how are you winning with movement?
Yes, because when you have a lot of movement, like for example, Sleekbait Seekers, 14-inch move, and you have on the other side, for example, let's say Gore Gruntas, like the boars from the Iron Jaws. Okay, they've got 9 move. They can but only with mighty destroyers they can move 18. So have basically 5-inch more than this unit. Yeah, so we have 5-inch more advantage of this unit. So you can pick the position where you want the fight to be. Of course, it's obviously will be around the objectives, but when you know that they are there, you can try to go from the flank, from the behind. With the drip strike, you can also close the enemy between 2 sides of your army in the middle, and they have to decide if I will go. Let's for example say I have Sig Vault and Sleekbait Seekers on the back, and on the front I have 33 Blitzbark Archers and Seekers. So they have to decide if they go this way or that way. Because if they split their army, I can run away because I'm faster than them, and I can pick which unit will engage into the combat. So if they go behind, so they will be afraid of the Slick-based Seekers and Sig Vault, they will get 66 shots from the behind, and they will get Seekers on the back because they have average movement of 21 inch, then charge with reroll. And if they go to the archers, they will get Unleash Hell. Also, they will get only one unit of the archer because I think very important with Slaanesh is to play MSU. And Slick-bait Seekers and Sig Vault with +3 to charge, they are fast enough to get them from the back.
No, I love it. I absolutely love it. And CJ mentioning in the chat, very curious to hear what happens. Not just because one of the things that you are using is you are using invaders with the lured haze, right? So, you're going to be able to put some units into reserve, but also you've got your summoning pool. So we will get to your summoning and what you really like from the summoning pool and who and how and all that good stuff. And also some of the reserve things. But I'd be remiss not to talk about the fact that the title of this episode is around the Dark Prince and
Sig Vault.
Sig Vault.
Yeah.
So, and I really like it because I remember when the battle tome first dropped, there was a little bit of talk about Sig Vault, but most people were talking a lot about Glutos. Glutos was the thing that people were focused around. And I know there's a bit of to hit stacking, where you had the Fiends and you had Glutos, and obviously third editions changed that a little bit. But we will go to Sig Vault and what you're bringing into Sig Vault because I really like it. And I think it's a great little piece right now.
So start with Glutos or with Sig Vault?
I was making a comment. I was just saying that I haven't seen too many Sig Vaults on the table, so we will talk about why and how you brought that into the list. But before we get into all of that and all the listy type stuff, you've mentioned some of the strength, right? You're able to do mortal wounds, which is probably really important right now in the save stacking meta where you've got a lot of 2-up, 3-up saves. So you want to be able to cut through that with your mortal wounds. You've talked a little bit about some of the movement shenanigans, being able to pick the parts of the battlefield where you want to fight, and you can swing your force from one side to the other. And it's a lot harder for your opponent to be able to kind of follow the trend. What aren't you good at? What is Slaanesh's challenges and struggles that you need to overcome?
Okay, just one more thing about good things with the Slaanesh. Sure. I think it's the flexibility. We can really control the table. Slaanesh can really control the table. And the most important thing is for the players who play Slaanesh, and it's really hard to get. Just don't care about your units. We have so bad units, and what is good, we will summon. And
I want to pause you on that one because you've mentioned this a few times now. We have bad units. Can you explain what that means a little bit?
Of course, yeah. I mean, let's for example take Blizzbarb archers. A lot of people just don't like them. They are pain to paint. Luckily, I don't paint by myself. My friend's painting the army for me. But yeah, he said that it's pain. Okay, so they got only 6-up armor save. So everybody who look at them kills them. For example, let's take Bloodstalkers or Sentinels. They have 5-up save. Okay, so you can make 4-up save even. So armies without rend or like small units without rend can't hurt Sentinels or Stalkers that much because they have 4-up armor save if they need. We have 6-up. Maximum 5-up, so it's worse. It's obviously worse, and we are shooting 4+4+. Okay, we have this little one guy who changes to 3+, but still, it's change of the role. He doesn't change role characteristics. So if we even add by Triumph or something +1 to roll, it still will be only 3+. So they are basically shooting 4+3+. You don't want to spend command points on Blizzbarb archers on unit of 10. You don't want to take 20 Blizzbarb archers because they are so light and so expensive that if someone will kill 5-6, rest will run away. And so they have only 6 bravery, while Stalkers have 8 bravery. So on the war scroll, we are always worse than the other units. Slick-bait Seekers only 5+ armor save. Okay, they have 4 wands per character, and it's unit of 5, but plenty of the fast units, cavalry units with good movement, they have 4 up save. We have only 5 up save, and that's the problem. Okay, Slick Blade are good even for 230 points, but when you compare the units with the similar things, what they have to do on the table, Slaanesh is just worse by war scroll.
Is it the points? Because I know people. I probably think that points are slightly too expensive, and hopefully in the General's Handbook there is just a wholesale discount for Slaanesh, because I think it's one of the things that's missing. But is it just points alone, or are you talking about the characteristic? You mentioned the save, you mentioned hit to wound. Is it just wholesale changes?
I think the points are not bad, because when you summon 800, 1000 points each game, which is not that hard to do, you have 3000 points of the army against 2000 points of the enemy. So points are not too expensive. It's just a war scroll. The war scroll is... They need like little upgrade. It's hard for me to say because I'm not looking at the only war scrolls. When I'm picking the units, I'm not looking like, okay, war scroll is okay. I am looking what synergy, what is the role of this unit. And for example, if you have 2-3 bad war scrolls, but you have 3 bad war scrolls against 1 good one, still you can overpower them. You can overcome the struggle with the, like, I won against the Kragnos, and Rob asked how you can deal with the Kragnos. So you have D3 mortal wounds from the Sinessa, D6 from the Chimera, 63 shots from the archers. You have like Slick Baits who deals mortal wounds on the 6s. So if I killed all the screams which ogres had, I had only like Kragnos and big like on the Monfranc guy. So I just put everything on this Kragnos, and he had like 60 saves, 2 up to make. So he just threw like 10 of them, then some mortal wounds, and he just died in 1 turn.
So what I'm hearing from you is that it's not the war scroll that's going to win you the game with Slaanesh.
Yes.
It is the synergies, it's the tactics, it's the understanding your opponent's force and how to kind of make the most of what you got. And we've mentioned the list, and you've already kind of alluded to it. You've talked about the Chimera, you've talked about the Blissbarb Archers, you've mentioned a few units, Sinessa. Sinessa and Dexessa, the 2 units that were brought through Broken Realms.
Yes.
And I love that the fact that you brought in, and I always thought that, the Sinessa and Dexessa being those mini Keeper of Secrets, they're not quite as good as it, but they bring a good utility value, especially Sinessa with the spellcast abilities and the board wide. Is it command ability? You can affect the board. It's got quite a generous range.
Yes. Command ability... in 3rd edition, all units have champions, so they can issue command to themselves, but Chimera can't. So Sinessa is just looking at the Chimera, giving her all-out attack, because Chimera hits mostly on the 4s. So when you can change it on the 3s, that's much better.
Interesting question coming from the chat from Barrett Lou is, I think the most challenge, I think the most challenge of Slaanesh is the double turn. If the opponent gets a double turn, it becomes very hard. Would you agree? Like, how do you find the double turn for Slaanesh?
Yes, double turn is very dangerous for every army, to be honest. That's why I brought Bellacor to the list, and that's why I'm looking to, with every list I'm making, to put 1 drop to fit into 1 drop, because Slaanesh must have control about the game to avoid double turns, or so I think that's the main problem. How you can deal with it: bring Bellacor and try to make 1 drop, or the movement. Again, the movement, because when you are fast, you can deploy your army very deep into your territory, and then you can avoid double turns even with the opponent's start. You can just slightly move with some bad units, with the units you can sacrifice to the objectives, deal some damage. Then when your opponent comes at you, like for example Iron Jaws, they will be really close. You have to know which unit you want to redeploy. I know it might be only 1 inch, but it can be also 6 inches. Yeah. So you have to know which unit you want to redeploy, and then if he has double turn and just cover the good units. Try to deal as much depravity. Unleash Hell helps with it. Also, keeping your hero next to the Fane of Slaanesh so you can deal 1 damage. Looking for the territory like Damned, like Deadly. Try to push your enemy around deadly territory, because if he moves like 3-4 units through the deadly, he might just roll 1-1 and you have depravity. Yeah. So I think that's the main, and just MSU, a lot of small units, because if Crusher just go into the archers, okay, he can go to the 10 archers, but if you go to 30 archers and kill 30, that will be a big problem.
So why not do big units? Because past lists that I've seen, not 3rd edition lists, but 2nd edition was built around lots of big units, especially a lot of hero hammer. A lot of people would throw 1,200, 1,500 points, because in the olden days, depravity was mostly generated by heroes. Is that still true? Are you putting a lot of your points into heroes, or because it is a hero hammer at the moment? At the moment, there's a lot of heroes on the table. Is that how you see Slaanesh playing?
I have 3 heroes, because in this particular list, because Bellacor can't summon, only Sinessa and Sig Vault can. So when one of them dies, I have still 1 hero to summon or feign. So I think Slaanesh needs like 2 or 3 heroes, so they can still summon, because if opponent will kill everybody, then you won't be able to summon. In 2nd edition, you had opportunity to play with big units, because you had like bonuses to bravery for every 10. Now you don't have, and Slaanesh has a really small bravery, and also the coherency that you have to be with 2 other models to keep it, that push you into play with the small units.
How important is depravity to you? Obviously, it's one of your allegiance abilities, and I'll go through in a minute what it actually looks like for anyone who is newer to Slaanesh. But when you are list building, is that something that you focus around? Like, how do I maximize depravity in order to summon really quickly?
Yes, I think depravity is very important. I want to summon from the 2nd battle round, so I want to have 4 summons through the game. 3-4 summons, depends what I want. Yes, I always, when I'm creating the lists, trying to maximize opportunity to get depravity. And again, that's where movement comes, because when I can quickly get into the engage, I can deal some damage, get some damage, so I will get to depravity per combat. And the combat table is summon table is really good, because from the 7 points you can summon really good chariot, and that's what I'm looking for.
So, what are your favorite units for Slaanesh right now?
For Slaanesh, favorite units, I think Slickblade Seekers, Sig Vault, Sinessa. I think those 3 are favorite. Also, Blizzbark archers are cool, because they are beautiful on beautiful models. But it's hobby. It also have to be beautiful army on the table. So yeah, but Slickblade Seekers, as I wrote, I would pick another unit of Slickblade Seeker instead of Chimera, but it won't fit into 1 drop. That's why Chimera is there.
What about those minor heroes? Because you used to see a lot of the Contorted Epitome. You'd see the Mask. You would see even the Lawnmower. That worst model to ever put together. The Exalted Chariot.
Yeah. Oh my god.
It's like if you don't hurt yourself, you're a true. Like, I don't know. Like, are you even playing Slaanesh if you haven't hurt yourself with the Exalted Chariot?
Yeah. So like the Mask and the Vice leader or the small demons, they are just bad. They have like 3+, 4+, -1/1. Even with 9 attacks, they cannot do anything against like very good armored units. Yeah, against Stormcast Eternals or something. They can't do anything, and they steal a slot for the hero. So I just don't like them. And for the summoning, they cost like 6-7 points, but instead of it, you can have Exalted Chariot, who brings D3 mortal wounds in the charge, or D6 D3 mortal wounds at the start of the combat phase, like 25 attacks with the rent 1. So that's why I'm picking the chariots, because the small heroes, demon heroes, are not very good. Also, the Shade Speaker, this wizard, a very cool model, nice spell. But this ability works only 9-inch, and he has got like 5+5 plus save. He's very fragile. He will be dead like in a minute.
You don't want him within range.
Yeah. So what's the point of picking it? Like when Moratti can issue combat ability in 24 inches, and he can only issue it in 9 inches. So I know Moratti is a god, but still. That's I think why Slaanesh has this low win rate, because it's not good by the war scroll. Armies which are good on the war scroll, they have big win rate because it's easier to play them. Just I think.
Yeah, we've definitely seen that with Fulminators, Stormdrake Guards, Bow Snakes, like there's the whole anything that's on the priority target list, which obviously came out with the battle scroll stuff. They're all really overpowered or very strong war scrolls that will win you the game alone. You're winning your game off synergy. You're winning your game off tactics, being able to pick your opponent. By the way, talking about the battle scroll, the hunt, have you noticed anything from your side of the fence? Obviously, there's nothing in Slaanesh that's going to give away a bonus victory point. If you take Bellacor, obviously that's going to give away as a prime target. But has that had any impact with you as a Slaanesh player? Because you're also not a prime target, so you're not going to get extra points, but you're also not going to give away any extra points unless you bring Bellacor.
But I am a prime hunter, so I will get 2 victory points by killing units, because Slaanesh is prime hunter.
Is Slaanesh prime hunter?
Yes, that's good. Yeah. OP army, right now. And I played 5 games only on GT ŁÓDŻ with those new rules, and it gives me a calm during the battle, but it didn't affect on the final victory or not.
I'm being told that you're not only a great player, but you're also someone that can teach. And yeah, I'm learning a lot. I completely forgot Slaanesh was a prime hunter to army. I completely forgot.
Because nobody thinks about the Slaanesh. I remember one of my first games on 1GT, and I was playing against new Iron Jaws, so very good unit. Yeah, Gorgrantas, my opponent had 24 Gorgrantas and Mokrasha, and it was turn 2, and I said, okay, now it's time for summoning. And he said, what can you summon? I said 30 Demonettes, and he was like, okay, that changes everything, because nobody thinks about the summoning. People don't think about depravity, and also even when they are thinking about it, it's so easy to get 7-9 per each round that people just can't stop it.
What does Bellacor bring to the table? Because I've seen a few lists coming in, right? Legion of the First Prince is becoming popular. I had an interesting chat with a gentleman by the name of Tobias, about Bellacor in Nurgle, and he was singing absolute praises in board control in combination with Nurgle, because obviously Bellacor, being a warlord or a coalition unit, is not going to bring in allegiance ability. So in Nurgle, he's not going to gain disease tokens and things like that. But the sheer board control and what Bellacor brings to the table was worth absolute gold. What does Bellacor bring in your list, and should Slaanesh players consider bringing in the Dark Master?
I think because my friend also is using Bellacor in his Nurgle army, so I think that, and he went quite okay during the GT ŁÓDŻ. He was with me. Bellacor gives you control. That's obvious thing. A lot of armies have one great unit which you can turn off for 1 or 2 turns, and that gives you a lot of advantage during those turns. And with the Slaanesh, who is really fast, I can rush the opponent. I can, even when I have to take first turn, I can be really close on the first turn, then switch off the biggest threat, like 15 Glowstalkers, 30 Sentinels, and all that stuff. And then opponent really can't do a much to my army. And then when roll-off comes, even when my opponent win, Bellacor still works. If I win, they are just usually dead. Because Slaanesh is so fast. Yeah, I think it's worth it to take it because Bellacor is also fast. 14-inch move, eternal save. He's really good at. He's a really good tank. he can hold giants and other stuff with high rent. And I think, it is worth to take it because I can, with all my army so fast, and Bellacor is also fast, I can rush my opponent and block him in his own deployment.
You're not worried about giving away a priority target point by Bellacor dying?
No, it's only 1 point, so no.
It's the value in controlling your opponent, denying battle tactics, and throwing down. I guess the unit. If you haven't seen Bellacor's rule teams, there's a particular unit or a particular rule called Dark Master, where you choose an opponent's unit, and then anytime it tries to act in the phase, so once per phase, you roll a dice. Is it on a 3-up? It doesn't get to act. It's like a once per battle ability. So. Very, very powerful and great for shutting off things, especially who interact in multiple phases, a magic phase, a movement phase, a shooting phase. So, and I know when I've spoken to people in the past, they try to avoid things like long strikes and bow snakes just because you're trying to stop them in 1 or 2 phases. But if you can stop a hero, a Slann from casting, from something getting into combat and multiple phases, you do get a lot more value, especially if there might be a battle tactic like Slay the Warlord or Broken Ranks or something where they want to go in. Scarbrand goes in, wants to kill something, boom, you stop them from moving, battle tactic over.
Yes. I think when I'm trying to use Bellacor, it's on the units who are doing things in multiple phases, not only one phase, because then it's only one roll. But when you use it on the Maw Crusher, for example, so if he won't move, or if he won't charge, or if he won't fight, that brings you what you wanted. So you have 3 chances to stop him instead of 1. But sometimes battle push you to use it on the unit where only 1 rolls matter, and it's very stressful when you're rolling the dice.
Sure, like if like you're up against Stormcast and they've got the holy command to shoot in the hero phase, if you throw it down to try to stop or reduce the amount of damage, yeah, that kind of makes sense. But picking your opponent, especially if it's a once per battle ability, is incredibly important. But it's a great centerpiece model, and also something that will benefit from itself. So you don't have to worry about synergies. You don't have to worry about, like, Bellacor just go run off and do his own thing. But what I want to talk to you a little bit.
Bellacor is also a good fighter, not against Seraphon. Yeah, against Seraphon, just don't engage with them because they are just he can't do anything. But he's a good fighter. Yeah, when I was playing Lumit Realm Lords, he had 2 inches on his weapon, so he was able to reach the one of the foxes and just kill him in 1 combat. And then I get some. I didn't get because he's prime target, so he didn't bring me any points, but. Yeah, so he's also a good fighter, and 4-up save, I think it's great unit.
So here's your Slaanesh rules. I wanted to kind of, I wanted you to kind of get your perception of how do you look at the allegiance abilities and how do you build around it. So obviously there's a whole bunch of things here, right? You've got the Feast of Depravity, you've got the Legions of Chaos, which allows you to bring in some other units from Slaves to Darkness, from Beasts of Chaos. You get to mark them for Slaanesh, and you can't bring anything in from Khorne. So you couldn't bring Scarbrand, for example. You couldn't bring a Bloodthirster in, etc., etc. Not that you could anyway, but like you kind of get the point. You got Locus of Diversion, you've got Euphoric Killers, and then the sub-allegiance you've chosen is the Lurid Haze. You've got Invaders, Lurid Haze, which came from
Wrath of Everchosen.
Wrath of the Everchosen. The supplement called the Wrath of the Everchosen, where they expanded. And I think you've got an extra 3 options, I think, from memory.
Yes.
Yeah.
So maybe start from the beginning. Feast of the Depravity. It's the very important rule. Yeah, it's the main goal how Slaanesh can win. Always you want to maximize getting Depravity. Always I think you have to find the places where you can summon the goods. And I think what is important is it's not to rely on the summoning. I mean, because when you summon them, you can have charge on 9 or 8 if you are in God Seekers. So you cannot rely on it that it will work. So I think the most important thing with the summon is just to cover the back. So when if you will cover the let's first say, for example, chariot, because I really love them, they are fast and deadly, and if you summon them in the middle of the table, and you are fighting on the like three sides of the table, in the middle, on the left flank, on the right flank, and if one of the combats won't go well, you have a backup. You have a backup where you can go, when you can charge, when you can stop the enemy. So I think summon is not for the turn when it was summoned, it's for the next turn.
What is good value from your summoning? You know, should I be thinking about trying to get 12 depravity points for a Keeper of Secrets? Should I be using 6 depravity points just to get like 10 demonettes as quick as possible? What are the ones that you're tapping into, and what's a good use?
I think best value for money, it's 7 points Exalted Chariot and 9 points Bladebringer on Exalted Chariot. Simply think they deal more damage than Keeper of Secret, and they bring mortal wounds also, which I think it's very important against dragons and Kragnos and all that stuff. So I think 7 and 9 points are best. Also 10 points for 3 Seeker Chariots, because you can have up to 9 mortal wounds in charge, because each chariot brings on 2 plus the 3 mortal wounds, and they are count for 2 models, so you have 6 models. So I think like 7 points in the first. I'm always looking for 7 or 9 points in first battle round, then also for 9 points in the second battle round. So in second battle round, I can summon for 7 points. In third battle rounds, I want to summon for 9 points. And then in 4th or 5th battle round, I'm trying to keep the points to see if I need it on 4th. Or maybe in 5, they will be better just to save the points, summon 30 demonettes to cover the point. And you know, if you summon 30 demonettes, nobody can take the objective from you, because you have 30 bodies on it. So I think that's the way I'm trying to do. And also fiends are okay for the summoning, and sometimes infernal entraptors, I don't know if I said right, is okay for the summoning against the heavy magic armies, because he forces to reroll, and then if the double, he gets some mortal wounds, the caster, and you get depravity. So that's what we are looking for. And also infernal entraptors is deadly for the Kairos, because if he changes the dices, he gets mortal wounds from him, so he can just. I used to play Lurid Haze with him. I was deep striking the infernal against the Kairos, and he had two options to choose: change the dice and get the 3 mortal wounds with every cast, or not change dice, so I have biggest chance to just unbind this spell.
Cheeky, I love it. CJ Hart agreeing. So I love this comment. You know, they might be sucked to build, but those chariots are incredible value, and they've always been a good model. It's just they just suck to build. You'll always like. There's so many spikes. You'll prick yourself.
Yes.
And like obviously, you know, with your summoning points, it just depends on what you need in the battle, right? Do you need a hero? Do you need some chaff? Do you need bodies on an objective? You know, are you trying to screen something out? Like, what is it specifically you're trying to do? That's always going to change. And you know, the summoning pool, you know, you can obviously manipulate it, which is great. But how do you generate so many points? Like if you say to me that, you know, your first turn, you want to be striving for at least 7 depravity, and then, you know, subsequent, you want to be getting 9, 9, 9. How do you get the most out of depravity? Are you splitting the attacks? Are you finding other ways? Like, what are you doing?
Okay, just one more thing about the summoning. Can I tell the units that people should avoid with the summoning?
Sure.
I mean,
Sure.
all the units. I'm looking on phone. Sorry. All the units for the 6 points are not that good in the beginning of the battle. So if you have 6 points in round 1, it's better to wait for 7 points for the chariot, because Seeker Chariot is okay, but it doesn't do that much that Exalted Chariot can do. So yeah, I think Exalted Chariot is great, but like don't summon Hellflyer because they just only give mortal wounds on 4+. So you cannot rely on it. So Hellflyers are not that good. So I think just avoid the summonings for the 6 points. Also for the 8 points, Fins are okay, but it's also when you have 9 points, just to summon Bladebrinker on Exalted Chariot because it's a hero with the great spell, so he can use the Finest Hour, he can cast, he can unbind. So it's just better to summon heroes on the chariots.
So what I'm hearing is hold to your 7s and your 9s. Your 7s and your 9s have the better options, even if there's a difference between one, whether it's like Seeker Chariot versus, I don't know, your Bladebringer Chariot. I'm better off getting the extra point or two, waiting to get a better option than just throwing down waves of summons because I've got the depravity.
Yeah, and about getting depravity, I don't find it hard because you have Fate of Slaanesh, so you can deal 1 damage to your hero, so it's 1 depravity. With the Lurid Haze, you can deep stroke like a hero, so you get another, because if you deep strike it in the enemy deploy, then you get another, so you have 2. You have a bunch of Blizzbarb archers with you can choose the targets. You can share attacks. You can choose like 5 archers will shoot to this unit, 5 to another. Split the attacks.
So you're splitting the attacks.
Yes, of course, and also depends of what we are playing against. If the army of my enemy has a lot of units, it's much easier. Yeah. Also, when you deep strike, for example, Sig Vault, he has got +3 to charge, and in first, because you have to deep stroke it in the first battle round, you must do it. So usually he is the one person, only one model who is charging in that turn. So he has +3, so charge on 6 with the reroll. So don't be afraid to charge even the screen, because you might get the double, then move on and kill what you want to kill. But when you attack it, and enemy will survive, you will get 1 depravity. When he survives, you will get another depravity for having general in the opponent's deploy, and then 3rd depravity from the Fane of Slaanesh. So you've got 3, very easy. Then easy 5 or 6 by Blizzbarb archers, because they have like even 30 inches range, because they can run and shoot. So it's 6, very easy. You can look for the Chimera Mortal Wounds. Sinessa spell, so you can pick another target anywhere on the table, Fane of Slaanesh. When you have arcane terrain in your deploy, then you have +1 to cast. Also, she brings some mortal wounds to the game, and then you can go through the deadly. I'm going with all my army. When I see the deadly terrain, you can be sure that my whole army will go through that terrain, because you don't have to. Yeah, you don't care about your units in the Slaanesh, because what's good, you have to go like a lot of units on the table, and you have to just swamp your enemy with your army, with the summon.
So it's better to take damage on yourself and try to generate that depravity than avoiding deadly terrain and potentially not.
Yeah, and always remember that when the enemy goes through the deadly terrain, always remember about it to ask him to roll the dice, because it's very important.
Well, on that roll of a 1, you get some damage, and I think that's a good point. Is it's not just your opponent; it's also yourself. And splitting the attacks can help to generate the depravity. I guess it comes down to don't fall too much into a trap where you're farming depravity when actually the better option was to maybe destroy the unit or to remove something on the objective. Like you really do think about your decisioning, because sometimes you can get too focused on one particular part. Have you noticed that you? Yeah, please.
Just one more thing about it, and it's only first turn, so it's hardest to get depravity, because you are far away from the enemy, and it's a first turn. In the second, third, you get into engage, so depravities just flow around the table. It's so easy to get.
Yeah. Do you find, because I noticed one of the differences between the old book and the latest book was the fact that you can now summon from the Fane of Slaanesh, the terrain piece, which I thought was a really good option, right? Like you'd always have like a little back hero in the, just to make sure that if you ever found like your Keepers of Secrets dead, you could still summon. But now that you've got the Fane, Do you often find yourself summoning from the Fane? Is it more just from your heroes, or is it just a nice little fallback that you've got something in case your heroes die?
It's just a backup, I think, but also it helps you when your enemy is deep striking, because usually enemy is deep striking with one unit nor more on the back, so he cannot cover all like 24 inches around the Fane. So when he deep stroke his unit, you can summon from the Fane and you can charge. Maybe if you get into the charge, you can use, because when people summon deep strike units, they are not usually that good. So when you summon Exalted Chariot, Exalted Chariot can easily destroy this unit, and so it's a backup for you, coverage of the objective in your territory. Yes, Fane is okay, but I rather to summon by the heroes, of course.
Summoning Demonettes viable? Because I always found that, paying for them in my list is probably a bit expensive, I think, for what they do. I think I looked at it like Plague Bearers are like 150 and you get 20 wounds, and Demonettes are 140 and you get 10 wounds.
Yeah, only for summoning. I wouldn't put them into the list, pay the points for them. But summoning 20 or 30 is okay, because when you summon 20, each 6 on hit is extra 3. It inflicts 3 hits on the target, so 20 or 30 are great. So yeah, for the summon, of course, they have reload charge, and the other turn they can run and charge, so they are very fast, and that they have a lot of attacks. If you get maybe Triumph, they can be 2+3+, with every 6 explodes into 3 hits. You can when you summon early the Exalted Chariot, you can cast the spell with rerolling wands, so they can be basically 2+ reroll, exploding 6s into 3 hits, then 2, 3, or 4+ -1/1. It's a lot of attacks because they have bases 25 millimeters, so they can attack from the 2 ranks. So I think yes, they are okay, but only from 20 or 30 units, not 10.
And summoning, not paying for them.
Yeah, no, not paying for them. It's if you have like 140 points, just take the Hellstriders, which are really bad. I wouldn't take them normally, but it's better to take them because they have 4+ save. They are faster. Not take them Demonettes.
Oh, poor old Demonettes. Make Demonettes great again.
They are great, but for the summon, yeah. You when you are playing football, you need to have some good people on the bench, which you can put on the field when you need them. That's what I'm looking at them.
Demonettes are bench players. It's true, sadly it's true. But by the way, like, you've got a White Dwarf coming. I think it's the May White Dwarf for Slaanesh. So who knows what's coming down the table? Who knows? Maybe Demonettes will become better. Maybe there was some things like battle tactics, or maybe some additional rules for Demonettes. Who knows?
I'm just asking for one thing, for heroic action, where I can inflict 1 wound to my hero and then get 1 depravity. That would be great, because instant 1 depravity, it can change tactic for the whole turn. So I hope they will bring something like this, because they brought it for the Beast of Chaos. They can get heroic action 1 the summoning point. I used to play Beast of Chaos too. They are good army, so I hope they will bring the same thing for the Slaanesh. That's what I need. It can only be 1 rule, and that will be fine for me.
I hope you are Beast of Chaos, not Khorned, because you wouldn't even know. Like, there's literally no change for Khorne, but you don't care. Like, Khorne is your greatest enemy. You laugh at the face of Khorne.
Yeah, but I wanted to play Khorne also, because I was thinking about Khorne and Slaanesh, because I think I find Khorne now in the current meta quite okay. They are not for sure the worst army, because they can do some shenanigans like charging in the enemy face. It can be very surprising for the enemy, but that's the topic for the another stream.
Yeah, and like Jerome mentioning in the chat, Scarcast, a friend of the channel. I love that 40k channel. I know he's been getting into AOS. A few of them actually, I've been noticing 40k players getting into AOS. And there is absolutely, it's very tactical. Slaanesh is very high risk, high reward. So it's not for the faint-hearted. You're not going Stormcast Dragons, move forward and go burr. It does take time and tactics to do well. But I want to get into the other rules. You know, you've got your
Mhm.
Legions of Chaos, you've got your Locus of Diversion, you've got the Euphoric Killers. Do you look much into the Legions of Chaos? Are you tapping into your Slaves to Darkness? Do you think Beasts of Chaos in general, not just specifically this list we're going to talk about, but as a Slaanesh player, is it worth going into Slaves to Darkness? Is it worth tapping into Beasts of Chaos? Or does everything I need kind of sitting in my battle tome?
I think yes. You should read all the books you have available to play with the Slaanesh, because you can find some good war scrolls there. That's why I found Chimera. I think D6 Mortal Wounds. It's amazing. It's big threat, and like people have to hide their small heroes behind, because Chimera can just one shot them. And so yeah, I think we should not close just into the Slaanesh, because Slaanesh is so bad on its own that we should find. That's true, yeah, that's true. I'm not telling anything new. It's so
Ah,
bad. It's so bad there that we should lean into allies, coalition units. But also you can find some good units into the in the Slaanesh army. So it's just up to the player. Marauder horsemen are okay because they throw javelins, they are fast, so they can bring you some depravity.
I know,
Yeah.
I know, I know. Bill Souza, who is a very good player in the America scene, was doing well with Slaanesh, and he brought in Cockatrice
Yes.
because they've also got mortal wound shooting. So,
Hmm.
and unlike Nurgle, your actual coalition units can actually get depravity. Yeah.
Yes, yes, of course.
Yeah. So unlike, in Nurgle, they don't generate disease tokens, but for you, you can tap into other units. So if you're looking for something maybe with range, I don't know if you want a soul grinder or something, I probably wouldn't
Hmm.
recommend a soul grinder, but things like
Hmm.
cockatrice, things like chimeras are good options. I really like as well the kitty cat, the Sphinx, the what's it
Yeah,
called?
yeah,
The
yeah.
yeah.
Finrak, something like this. I know.
There are some
Also
good
the
options
also
in Slaves to
this
Darkness.
also this big bull from the Beast of Chaos with the stone above his head. Sigor, I think he can unbind the spells, and when he unbinds, he deals, but he deals three damage to the caster, another depravity for you. So I know the model is not very good, but he farms you depravity. So
All right. I think you and I vary on the value of a Cygor. I think even with the White Dwarf updates, I would not take a Cygor. But
yeah.
I guess what I'm hearing from you is Legions of Chaos. Definitely look into your Slaves to Darkness and your Beasts of Chaos to tap into some other units that might get you either as you some monster points, give you some shooting attacks. What I'm hearing from you especially is the mortal wound shooting, the Chimera, the Cockatrice, as two examples that could bring you in some good damage, some depravity points, and still align to the Slaanesh keyword.
Yeah. Also, when I brought two allies and coalition unit, those two are monsters. So my grand strategy is relies on the allies unit, because I have only one monster, Snessa, and then two monsters from the ally and coalition. So if I wouldn't have coalition and ally units, I wouldn't be able to do this grand strategy.
I think you've convinced people to take Cygors. Don't take Cygors. Please don't. No one
They're very
takes
cheap
Cygors.
and monster. Yeah.
Yeah, they're very quick to give away a monster point when they die.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
like Locus of Diversion and Euphoric Killers, are these important to your strategies, or are they just nice to have abilities?
Locus of Diversion is very good when I summon the chariots, because every hero can do it, every demon hero can do it. So when I summon Bladebringer on the chariot and he charges, so he can charge even big unit, and on 4+, they won't hurt him much. Yeah. So yes, also with Sinessa, she has got -1 to hit, and she can go into the combat with the finest hour, or with allow defense, or also with lurid haste. I have command ability, so I can have two allow defenses in the one combat phase. So he can go there, and on 4+, she can just turn off the units from the piling. And I think that's very good, but not the thing you can rely on, because it's on 4+. And I'm just stick to the rule: when something is on 4+, I will never roll the dice on 4+. So I don't rely on thing like 4+.
No, it's certainly not the 2+ that you used to be able to enjoy back in the day, right? The
3+
Keeper of
with the
Secrets, you do
keeper.
that on a 2+. Yeah, like it was so
Now
good.
with the 3, yeah.
Yeah,
Because
there's
now,
a bit more risk and reward.
yeah, but it's just nice thing. You can remember about it. It's okay with the, like, when you use it with the, for example, with Sinessa, so she can roar on the enemy on 3+, so he won't be able to use the command abilities. Then she can turn off his pile-in with 2 good rolls. So yeah, it's very useful, but it's just something.
The Wa mentioning in the chat, every time I hear about off-meta armies doing well, I want to collect the army. Imagine what it's like being me, talking to awesome guests and going, yeah, I'm going to run Slaanesh. Yeah, I'm going to run Nurgle. Yeah, I'm going to run Carriage and Overlords. Like, it's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. But what I love about what you shared is, there is no particular war scroll that you're really relying upon. You are maximizing what you've currently got. And if it means there's a nerf or there's a change, it's not like your whole strategy. It's really about the cohesive force and how you're generating depravity and how you're manipulating the board rather than putting all your eggs in one basket, like a lot of factions are currently doing with 1 or 2 particular units. So that's what I'm hearing about the keys to success when it comes to Slaanesh right now.
Yeah, and the rule with the exploding 6s on hits is just good rule. Yeah, there is nothing to explain about it. Sig Vault with exploding 6s, great. Yeah, of course. Shame that Chimera and Bellacor don't have it. That would be great, but because allies and coalition doesn't get this ability. But yeah, it's just good. Just good thing. You're always seeking for the 6s. It's very good with Slickblade Seekers because on 6 to hits they generate 2 hits, but on 6 to wounds they generate additional movement, mortal wounds. Sorry. So yeah, when you throw a lot of 6s for the hit, you have more chances to roll some 6s on the wounds, which we are looking for.
Talk to me about the hosts of chaos. So you've obviously got the invaders, you've got the pretenders, and you've got the god seekers. Are all 3 of them, in your opinion, good? Or do you think one stands out better than the others?
I think God Seekers are the best for the depravity farming, because when your general charges, he gives you D3 depravity. When he charges with another unit, it's D3 +1. So I think it's a lot, because you can generate from 2 to 4 depravity, and so it's 1/3 of the Keeper of Secrets with the single charge. Also, God Seekers have got a command trait, Supreme Hunter, I think, when he that makes your general charges after retreat. So he can charge, retreat, and repeat it all the game. Yes, but minus with the God Seeker is that you have to rely on your general, and we don't have tough units, maybe Glutos only or Sig Vault, but Sig Vault is very slow when he is put on the table, so he might not be able to charge. That's when I had Amulet of Destiny. I was playing God Seekers with the Keeper because Keeper was deadly, and he was generating so many depravity points, and he was hard to kill because he had 3+ save and 5+ ward, and when I was playing with him, I leaned into the healing. I had Life Swarm, so he was really easy to heal himself, to generate more depravity to charge another units. So I think God Seeker overall is the best faction, but Pretenders and Invaders are still good.
Someone in the chat, I think they're trolling you. They must be trolling you because Jacob is asking, what do you think of Dorilia, which is a Cities of Sigmar model, the crossbow girl. Has she shot off one of your models? Is that what the joke is here?
No, Jacob is my friend from my city, and he with some friends, with other friends, they love Doralia because a lot of players, good players, bring her into the army with the Living City. But I think she's not that good. But I never played against her, so I must have my wizard killed in one shot to convince myself that she's good. But yeah, Doralia is our guilty pleasure in my city.
Yeah, she is very good. But the reason I've gone big screen instead of the rules, because I want to talk to you very briefly about Keeper of Secrets, someone we haven't acknowledged just yet, both the Keeper of Secrets and Shalaxi. How do they go at the moment with third edition?
Could you repeat, please?
Shalaxi and the Keeper of Secrets, are they good at the moment in third edition, or is there something that's holding them back from being competitive units?
Shalaxi should cost 200 points maximum to be good in any edition. So it's I think it's the worst unit in the army. She has got 3 attacks. So yeah, for 400 points now, Shalaxi is just, she needs her war scroll remade. About the Keeper of Secret, I think he's good. He was good. She was good, or it was good. With the Amulet of Destiny, he is okay, but it's expensive model, and maybe for the summoning I have one beautifully painted, but it's for the summoning because people, I think Bellacor is just better. When I have to pick Keeper or Bellacor, just pick Bellacor. They deal similar damage, and Bellacor has great ability. So I think it's just bring Bellacor instead of Keeper of Secrets.
I think the Keeper of Secrets not being able to receive its own command ability, and you've got to issue it to another, which then makes them an expensive power pair. I think that's kind of what kills me, because like then you got to take 2 keepers, and that's very expensive.
Good thing about the Keeper is to bring him with the Sig Vault, so Sig Vault can attack. When he charges, he strike on the start of the combat phase, and then you can use again command ability of the Keeper, so he strikes twice before any other units would attack. So when I was playing with the Keeper and I had Sig Vault in Godseekers, I used to do this thing. So then Sig Vault one shots more Crusher, Techless, Great Unclean One. He was like really, really big killer. I played on GT tournament in Warsaw with the Keeper and the Sig Vault, and I had 4 games against Lumit Realm Lords. So 4 out of 5 games against Luminets, and Sig Vault killed 3 out of 4 Techless as well. But Techless can stand toe-to-toe to Slaanesh. Luminet with Techless out to lose against Slaanesh, to be honest.
We'll get. All right, I'm going to bring up your list in a minute. I just want to ask you about one. No. It's good. I just want one more model feedback, and that is the big fatty himself, Glutos.
He's good. But the main problem is that he is rolling 2+ to get 5+ ward, and it's only he can only do it in his hero phase. If that would be on the beginning of the round, that would be great, because when someone inflict 5 wounds to Glutos, he won't be able to get this 2+ roll to get 5+ ward save. So what forces you with the Glutos, or to bring Life Swarm to get healing, so you can do it. So it's another 60 points, or it forces you to start with the army, but you don't want to start with the Slaanesh. You want to counter your enemy. You want to bring as many depravity as you want. So when an enemy is starting and he's shooting at you to some spells, he gives you some depravity. Then you can heal yourself, use rally command ability on the units which were damaged, and then. But if you will bring Glutos, they will focus on the Glutos and they will just kill him or bring so many wounds to him that he won't have this 5+ ward save. And he's not as good as fighter, but he's okay unit. I see the rosters with him. I was thinking about him also, but it's nearly 500 points, and in my opinion, it's a little bit expensive.
I was going to say it is a lot of points. It'll come about 1/4 of your points. So, and you're right. It's a big amount of points. You get a lot of wounds for it. Like, it is very generous with the wounds, especially while you've got the 5+ ward. But it is a big points allocation. And I think, when we go to your list, you know what? Let's just bring it up now. Let's actually
just one thing about Glutos. He is great against close combat armies, because when he's good at fighting. He's good caster, and close combat armies which cannot inflict any wounds to him from the distance. Then he can turn on his ward save, and then with a lot of wounds, and he's really tough, 3+ save, so easily 2+ save. He can be really good tanky. So I would pick him in Godseekers and make him general, even losing the command trait, just to make my general as tough as possible. He can have from the second battle round run and charge. So yeah, I think in Godseekers he might do well. But I also saw the people bringing him into Lurid Haze and deep stroke him, but he has so big base that it's really impossible to deep stroke him in the good place in the table.
Which is why things like Sig Vault is actually a really good option in the Invaders Lurid Haze. So I thought I'd bring up your list and you can talk through about what this brings to the table, because when I look at this list, it's certainly a little bit different, right? You know, you've got Bellacor, you've got Sig Vault, and you've got Sinessa. And being an Invaders list, you can have up to 3 generals. Bellacor obviously can't be general because he's a coalition unit. You've also got yourself 3 units of Blissbarb archers, not reinforced, just single MSUs. You've got yourself your Chimera from the Beasts of Chaos. You've got yourself a unit of 5 Slickblade Seekers, and then a unit of 5 Seekers. You've gone Battle Regiment as well, so you've gone 1 drop. So I'd love to know a little bit as well why you've gone 1 drop and what's the pros and cons versus going Warlord or even Hunters or some other type of combination. But talk me through, what are you trying to generate here? How does this list work? What does it all do together?
Okay, so starting with the army type Invaders, it's only taken because of the Lurid Haze. I want to have Deep Strike. That's why I'm picking the Lurid Haze. Even with the charges on 9, it's still Sig Vault, so +3. Or I'm trying to Deep Strike something that I can use later in the game to force my enemy to take care of that unit, to split their army. As I said on the beginning, when opponents split their army, I have summon. And I am choosing combat because I'm fast. That's what I'm trying to do with my enemy. So that's why I'm picking the Lurid Haze, and they have got really good combat ability because possibility to get 2 all-out defenses during 1 combat. It's great thing, I think. So yeah, Bellacor obviously for the control, good fighter, also good tank. So Bellacor is very useful, I think, in every Chaos army. Sig Vault for deep striking. +3 to charge. Also depends against which enemy I'm playing, because when I know that my enemy will come at me, like Iron Jaws, Ogres, and Dragons, for example, I don't have to hide Sig Vault in the deep strike. Yeah, Sinessa is. I know that a lot of people will swap it for Contorted Epitome, but I think Sinessa is so good unit. She brings mortal wounds. She's got a lot of spells, like 14 or 15 spells. So she can cast whatever you need. She can cast like I don't remember the name of the spell, but on 7+, pick 1 hero in 12 inch, and that hero cannot run, charge, and use command abilities. So that's very good spell. She's got Pavane of Slaanesh, so it's anywhere on the table can be cast, and you pick 1 hero and roll number of dice. Number of dice equals this movement characteristic of the hero, and each 5+ is mortal wound. So, for example, on Seviret, 24 dice, each dice 5+. That's really good. Against Morati, you can just deal 3 damage to her in the hero phase and just don't care about her anymore during other phases. So Sinessa is great. Also very mobile summoning, because she can move move 12 inches, then run 6, so 18, then summon 12. So you have range of 30 inches of the summoning. She flies. She's got cover because she's got only 9 wounds. So very easy, you can make her -2 to wounds from shooting, -2 to hits from shooting, and cover. So yeah, she's very tough, to be honest.
Time out, pause. But we skipped Sig Vault too quickly. No. It's good. I love it. Jerome made an interesting point that I'll bring up. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Jerome saying 104 wounds in a 2,000 point list is definitely playing AOS on hard mode. I have some thoughts. I'd be curious to hear what your response would be, given that your list on paper is 104 wounds.
Yes, it's just 104 wounds. I'm not looking that I need 120 wounds instead of 100 or something like this. If that list would have 90 wounds, I wouldn't care, to be honest, because you want to avoid damage. You want to avoid engaging into combats you don't want, because everything in that list, maybe only heroes not, but every unit in that list, if it engages in combat you don't want, they just die. So if they would have 120 wounds, they would die anyway. And you bring a lot of units, a lot of wounds into the table. Every chariot is 10 wounds. 30 demonettes is 30 wounds. So I think I'm ending up each battle around like 150 wounds on the table altogether.
You've also got to remember that you're summoning a whole bunch of units. So if you're bringing in 5 to 10 wounds a turn, then we're really looking at, if you're, let's say on average you're bringing on, 10 wounds a turn. That's then potentially another 40 wounds there. So it's not so bad, but I can appreciate where you're coming from when you look at that raw number. Which is again why depravity becomes so important. And no, I know it's no disrespect, but I know when you're looking at the wounds allocation, that might seem not a lot, considering, as you've already mentioned at the top of the show, how bad your armor saves can be. You don't have a lot of good ward saves. You are a very fragile force. So I think it's a really valid comment.
Yes, but playing Slaanesh it's not easy a game. You just have to be flexible, just try to keep this army alive, and also farming depravity helps, because if you, let's say for example, enemy has got like 10 units or 8 units at the beginning of the game. If you like hurt like 7 of them or 6 of them, they are just become less effective on the table. Some units are losing their abilities if there is less than, for example, like Frigate crossbowmen. If it's 10 of them, they can shoot twice, like they've got 2 attacks. If it's 9, they're not. So just kill one of them and they will not be able to shoot with 2 attacks or only 1. So they will deal 50% less damage if they will be full. And a lot of armies now focusing about like just swiping off enemy units from the table, and it's not how you want to play with the Slaanesh. So if you damage all the units and they just become less effective, that's also bring some good news for you, because your units are they have more chances just to survive on the table, because enemy units are not as good as they were before.
Yeah, and one of the reasons why I want to loop back to Sig Vault is that, Sig Vault has a lot of great value, especially in an Invader Lure Hades build, right? You get +3 to your charge roll. So if it comes in from reserve, you're really looking at a 6-inch charge, not a 9-inch charge. 6-inch charge is very achievable, especially if you have to use a CP to re-roll that one. Being a hero, he can issue it to himself. When you then look at the fact that he fights first, he ignores ward saves, so he cuts through his ward saves with the Shard Slash, and then the Mirror Shield, giving him a 4-up ward save. So while he is only 6 wounds on table, 3-up armor save, 4-up ward save, Sig Vault can be quite tanky when you look at those types of things together.
Yes, and he strikes first when he charges. So even if he charges, let's say, Mega Gargant or Crusher or some deadly big heroes or some deadly units, if he strikes first, then he can deal some damage, then makes this unit less effective. So he had more chances to survive combat with them. Sig Vault is just best, and bringing him into fight, he loves to fight, so that's where he belongs to. He must be in the fight, and that's why even if he doesn't charge, he has still 5 attacks, so it's not that bad.
But if he does charge, he gets to attack with the unmodified charge roll. So the amount of attacks is either 5 or whatever you roll unmodified.
Yeah.
So not adding the +3. But if you roll a 7, then and he charges, that'd be 7 attacks, hitting on 2s, wounding on 3s, Ren 2 for D3 damage. So if you're thinking about pulling down, like you mentioned, a Mega Gargant, or you really need to clear a certain particular unit, Sig Vault could do incredible damage when you look at that profile.
Also, because a lot of people saying that when you deep stroke in the first battle round, a lot of enemies can screen of it, because it's first battle and they know what will happen. But bringing Sig Vault, so he, for example, average roll on 2 dice is 7, so you roll 7 plus 3, it's 10. Then you've got 3-inch pile-in move, so he can move 13 inches. And then if you are not first, that's why it's 1 drop to avoid being first. If you're not first, then if he kills that screen and move 13 inches deep into your enemy, even from the side, but tables are smaller now. So if he if he moved 13 inches to the middle of the table, and then you want the roll off, he has open space to charge whatever he wants, because then he will move 6-inch, then another charge +3. So Sig Vault, don't be afraid with charging Sig Vault to the screens, because he will kill them, he will survive what will charge on him, and if nothing will charge on him, he's fast enough when he's in the middle of the table to get anything he wants.
One thing I wanted to ask you about with Sinessa. So Sinessa, one of the things I love about Sinessa is the fact that she's 9 wounds when you compare it to Dexessa, which is 10 wounds, which means that with Sinessa, she can play a sub-commander role in a battalion, while Dexessa cannot. My question to you is, why haven't you included Dexessa in this list? What are your thoughts on her?
First of all, Bellacor, because he's still the slot for the commander, and that's all. Also, Dexessa is not that good as Sinessa. Okay, she can issue command without spending command point. When she starts to fighting, then her attacks characteristic grow. Because she can add 1 to attack characteristic each round. But she has only 4+ save. She hasn't got any mortal wound protection. Okay, she can run and fight, but no, she's just too light to be engaged into combat. Sinessa, you can stay from the behind, deal mortal wounds, cast, issue command abilities, and do some machine guns. But with Dexessa, she must be into a fight, and she's so fragile that she should cost 60 points less, I think, to be able to be put in the roster.
Yeah, I mean, she causes a -1 to hit aura around her.
Yes.
And I look at the Scepter of Slaanesh, that means that you don't take battle shock tests for Slaanesh demons within 12. That seems rather useless, considering Slaanesh demons are bravery 10.
Yeah.
So I don't really need that ability. I'm not running a block of 30 demonettes at the moment. The Joyous Battle Fury certainly kind of is helpful, especially when you then look at the run or retreat and charge. But if I want a combat monster or someone who's going to do damage, Dexessa's got she's got 2 attacks that have Rend 2 for 2 damage, and the rest of her attacks are Rend 1 for 2 damage. So I think I'm getting much more consistency and value from Sig Vault than Dexessa, unfortunately, as much as it pains me to say.
Or you can just take a Bladebringer on Exalted Chariot. They're similar points, and you can give him an ability that he will get. That's very good for the 1-drop, to be honest, because you can give him an artifact that he will get -1 wound, but he will get fly. So then he will have his move wound characteristic 9, so he can fit into 1-drop because he can be taken as a sub-commander. Then you can take Big Bad Bellacor. Then you still have Bladebringer on the Exalted Chariot, which has got flying. And then you can also, when he's next to the Fane of Slaanesh, he can also sacrifice his artifact because it's artifact. So he will lose his flying, but he will get his 1 wound back, and he will be again 10 wounds, fast unit, and much more deadlier than Dexessa. And mortal wounds, that's what we are looking for.
Before we get into the other units, Jonathan asking a very interesting question that I hadn't really thought of. It's an interesting one. Although I think I know the answer. Jonathan asking, out of curiosity, why no general heroes to take advantage of command traits, artifacts? Would you have something like the Lord on Kakadrak or other heroes that you might want to tool up? I imagine the answer is going to be the fact that this works better, and you don't need the command trait and the artifact.
It's just one drop, so I don't. So I am forced to take generic command trait and artifact, which are really bad. Rerolling dice rolls for the running is nothing big, and the +1 wound for any character is nothing big. So I think, in my opinion, Slaanesh must be one drop or as less drops as possible. So you are not looking for the warlord or any other battalions to get some artifact, because you just want to keep the one drop, and generic artifact and command trait are not as good to resign from of Bellacor, Sig Vault, or Sinessa.
Why do you want to be one drop?
Because you want, as I said at the beginning, Slaanesh needs control of the table. With one drop, you have the most the highest percent chance to decide who will go first. Yeah. So playing against two more Crusher, they will have more than one drop. Playing against, let's say, Daughters of Cain in the Hagnar, they will have more than one drop. So you have a lot of chances to decide that you won't go first. Against Legion of the First Prince, they have a lot of drops. Against Seraphons, they have a lot of drops. So you can be one drop, measure everything, and screen yourself so the Bastillodon and other stuff won't do anything to you in turn one. Slan won't cast any Comet because it brings you so many depravities that's the spell is not worth it to cast for them. So I think that's one drop is very, very necessary for the Slaanesh.
Yeah, no, you definitely want to be able to control, especially with so many frail models, and the board control as well. You're going to be able to, do you want to be moving around, or do you want to respond to your opponent? Do you have any thoughts on Celeste? And I know people used to run this combination when the White Dwarf, before in between Battletome 1 and Battletome 2, when there was Celeste's host, and you could get like double depravity points. But since that White Dwarf kind of stopped running, I haven't really seen Celeste on the table.
Yeah, Celeste brings you a lot of depravity on the beginning of the battle, because he can bring you D3 or D6, as far as I remember, to depravity. But it forces you to pick a lot of different units, and it's just not worth it. Depravity is so easy to get that bringing D3, which can be one, or bringing D6, which can be one, is not worth to take him. He's not, and he relies on having as many mortal as the same number of mortal and demons around him to get some bonuses. It's very hard. Having Celeste doesn't give you opportunity to be free on the table. You have to always remember about him.
Celeste. Agreed. Like it's this weird. Probably worked in second edition a little bit better, but now I'm like, I just don't have the points to having this balancing act, and it's a good little utility. Like it's got a bit of spells, like a bit of combat, it's got a bit of movement, but it's not a master of any of those fields. It's very much a utility piece, and I think again, if I'm looking for more of a utility, I'm going Glutos. I'm not going Celeste.
And also, it's a model you have to cover your army around, so your enemy knows that, okay, that's the target. That's the target what I want to kill. And when you look at my list, it's very hard for the enemy to pick the target to kill.
Well, let's talk about those units, right? You got 3 units of Blitzbarb Archers, you got the Chimera, you got the Sick Blade Seekers, and you got the Seekers. How are they all working? Because they're all primarily not combat-y units. You've definitely got a lot of shooting here.
Yes, so 4 out of 6 of those units can shoot, and Blitzbarb Archers are obviously for the board control, because they can run, they can move 12 and still shoot, so they can pick the targets around all the table. And if you make mistake in deploy, you can easily cover this mistake by moving them really fast. And of course, they are for getting depravity as much as possible. So I'm usually not using them to kill the enemy just to deal some damage to them and get depravity. Chimera D6 mortal wounds is very good against the small heroes, because enemy has to think about it, that okay, this guy might just roll 5 or 6 and kill my hero, so I will better keep him behind. And small heroes are usually like support heroes, and people need to have them next to their units. So they have two choices: or to keep them behind and stop giving bonuses to their units, or keep them up front and put them into the danger against Chimera. And also Chimera has a lot of attacks, and she can easily kill like light armored units. So yeah, she's fine, and also she's picked because she fits into 1-drop.
Question on the Chimera: why not just go to Cockatrice? Because Cockatrice are worth 95 points versus the 220 for a Chimera, and that would be potentially double the mortal wounds.
Yeah, in this particular list, because it won't be double the mortal wounds, because it's okay. They don't have bracket, so but it's 4+. So you will roll 1 4+, and the other you won't. They don't fit into 1-drop. Only this list. I'm talking about this list only. They don't fit into 1-drop, and it's 4+. I don't rely on it because it's 4+. Then you have to roll d6. So it's. They are okay. They are not monsters, so they don't bracket. They are small and not expensive units. So people, if they have to, if they will focus on them, they will lose a lot of their energy to kill them and don't get much point of it. But also Chimera gives me a grand strategy Beastmaster. That's why Chimera is there. But I'm not saying that that this Cockatrice unit is bad. It just doesn't fit into this roster.
No, it's okay. And anyone who's seen this channel before knows that this is not about the master one only way to run Slaanesh, right? This is just one guest sharing their ideas and their thoughts. The other consideration is the fact that a Cockatrice is a monster. So
it is a monster. Okay.
Yeah. It's a monster. It's a monster.
Sorry.
No. Which means that when it dies, because it's only a squishy monster, right? It's 8 wounds. So when it dies, you're giving away a victory point. And I think you made a really good point that the Cockatrice is doing mortal wounds on a 4+, and it's D6, right? So you could roll a 4 and then roll 1 mortal wound. So is it worth doing 2? Probably not. Maybe the Chimera, if you've got the points, is certainly better.
It's not behemoth, so that's why it
correct.
Doesn't fit.
Yes, it's not a behemoth. No, it's not a behemoth, but it is a monster.
Okay, I just, to be honest, I just didn't read it that he's a monster, and that changed some things, because you can bring 2 and have 2 monsters. So yeah, I think this unit is okay. This unit is great because it's only 95 points. Okay, giving up 1 victory points for killing the monster, but they have 8 wounds. Chimera has only 12, so it's not a big difference. Chimera thing is that she can fight also, and Cockatrice not that much. But yeah, I think, to be honest, I don't know if I would be able to take 2 Cockatrice instead of 1 Chimera. I'm not sure what I would take. What I would take. So yeah, Cockatrice might be a very good choice, to be honest now.
Look, it could be like if you're wanting to run a list with like Emerald Life Swarm, and you're tied up with points and you don't have the 200 odd to spend, the Cockatrice could be alternative, right? Or if you're looking for multiple. But I think your list obviously works, right? You've gone 5-0. I'm not here to slag off your list, but it's more about, are there other options and pros and cons?
Of course.
And
so
our guest
Cockatrice is other option. Yeah, it's other option for sure. It can do the bunch of damage also. It also can, and it can be deep strike, but it's fast unit and also brings some damage to the small heroes. Yeah, so yeah, it's good unit if you are taking it into the Slaanesh.
What about the other units? What about your Slick Blades and your Seekers? Why those particular units?
Slick Blade Seekers are very good. Very fast. They can reload charges on their own. They inflict some mortal wounds. They've got 20 wounds, so it's not that easy to kill them. It's four wounds per model. So if people kill them, you can always use the rally on them. They are fast. They are So it's just good combat unit, to be honest. But they cannot be charged. Like nobody can charge them because they are so fragile that they will die easily, even from the shooting. But 4 wounds, so it's not easy to get one model of the unit. So even if somebody inflicts 3 wounds, they are still attack with the full power.
Why not something like Painbringers, or is it your
Twin Souls?
Yeah, the Twin Souls. Yeah, why not those units instead?
Twin Souls, I find them just as a bad unit. They are expensive. If you take 5, they are useless. If you take 10, they are more expensive than Slickblade Seekers. So it's better just to pick Slickblade Seekers, which are 6-inch faster. They deal some mortal wounds. They've got rend. They have more attacks than Twin Souls, and they hit 3s, not 4s like Twin Souls. And Painbringers are good. I am trying to find the list where I can fit them, when I can put the Painbringers, but also only in unit of 10 or more, or 15. But then you have to take Lord of Pain, which is really bad, to be honest. So just take 10 Painbringers are okay, and beautiful models.
I'm going to ask, I'm throwing all the hard questions at you, mate. You're handling this absolutely so well. Slangor. Is there a place for Slangor at the...
Skip. Okay, no. Slangor is not. I'm not that crazy to play Slangors.
Maybe ask you a different way. What would it take for you to consider Slangor? Is it a points thing? Is it a synergy thing? Like, what would you need to see in order to and by the way, thank you so much, the Wa. Appreciate the donation. Much love. What would it take for you to get Slangor on the table? Like, if you got to choose what was coming in the White Dwarf and it was going to impact Slangor, what would it be?
I will open the War Scroll.
So it's a 5-up save. It has Bravery 6, 3 wounds, 8-inch movement. All of its attacks are rend -1. Like, it gets +1 attack if it charges at the end of the combat. It can do a mortal wound on a 4-up. What would it take?
Somebody would have to pay me a lot of money to just put them on the table, to be honest. No, they are just bad. They're just worst War Scroll. They have 3 wounds, 5+ save, okay, 8 wounds, but they hits on 4, -1 rend, which is nothing in the current edition if you have small amount of the attacks. Yeah. Okay, one attack if they charge move in the turn. They're just fragile, 5+ wounds, so everybody Unleash Hell will destroy them. Like, they won't survive Unleash Hell to attack. And I hope someone is so good enough playing Slaanesh that can bring Slangors into the army, but I am not that person for sure.
No, I've never seen anyone competitively do well with Slangor. If you are that person, you're listening, please let me know. I have not seen a competitive Slangor list. Look, but you are the guy who was telling people to go buy Sigors, so maybe you had some cracks.
I'm not telling to run them. I'm not telling to run them. I'm just telling that they bring some depravity and unbinds and monsters. So, and nobody will care about them on the table.
Yeah, they are cool models. I do like.
Yes, they are. The rule of cool is
more like Slangor. Yeah, look, they're cool models. I think they need some more synergy with the Beast of Chaos or something. There's something lacking with the model. But look, I really like your list. I think you're certainly playing a different game. You know, you're playing a lot of movement. You know, Sinessa is doing some cool things with the spell casting and just general board control, which, much like Bellacor, Sig Vault's definitely coming in because your Invaders Luid Haze is a D3 coming in from reserve. I imagine Sig Vault always that guaranteed one. And then depending on what you've got and who you're playing and how they've deployed, you might bring on, I don't know, the Chimera or the Blissbarb Archers.
I can't bring Chimera because it's coalition.
Of course,
unit. Yeah,
yes, it's not healing.
Chimera has got +2 to charge. That would be great to bring her into Lurid Haze, but not for Slaanesh. Right. Yeah,
because it's Hedonite keyword. It's Hedonite, right?
Yeah. Yes. And Blissbarb Archers is good pick because you can then your enemy because it's after deploy. So when enemy won't screen in good way, you can deploy the archers and they can shoot 9-inch behind the screen. So yeah, that's good thing.
Do you think something like this, the Soul Grinder, would have a place? Because there's obviously so much in Slaves to Darkness and Beasts of Chaos that you can really tap into. Do you think
I
like
was thinking
Soul
about between Soul Grinder and Chimera in this list, but Soul Grinder is so ugly model that I won't ever pick him into the. That's the only reason why. I also want to play a game with beautiful models, and Soul Grinder doesn't belong to the beautiful models. But it's okay unit. He shoots, he fights, his stuff. So yeah, it's not bad.
Yeah, and I think the other challenge with the Soul Grinder is the base size.
Yeah, it's big because
it's a very big base size.
Yeah, Chimera has got base size like Chariot, so it's not that big, and Slangor is like Mokrasha or something like this.
Yeah, so
Maybe
like
not Mokrasha,
certainly
but very big. Yeah,
it's good for kind of controlling the board because it's a big pie, piece of pie plate that, you can kind of control, and it's hard to kind of avoid. But then at the same time, it gets blocked up with terrain quite easily, and it's hard to kind of maneuver around the board. So, look, if you want to like get like a Soul Grinder and maybe buy like a third party model, like yeah, maybe, but yeah, like that robotic thing, probably not for me at this point. What are the keys to success? Like if I'm going to play Slaanesh and I'm going to do really well on the table, what are like your tips for me?
I think the victory points. Like I mean, we are playing the different game than the other players. You can see when you check my tournament results, like not only from the GT ŁÓDŻ, but from the other GTs or the local tournaments, I'm always giving up a lot of victory points. Like people, a lot of times they just tabled me or like kills like 1,500 points of my army, but we don't have to care about it because we have another summon and we can cover up the whole table just to protect the victory points. And I think that's the main goal. On the last game in the final round in GT ŁÓDŻ, I was playing Seraphon and I lost all 2,000 points, but I won 50 to 20 in victory points. So yeah, it's that's what we think about it. It's like just covered because it was Savage Games, so you can add a lot of points. And I was just thinking about closing him into his in his deployment and just farm as many points as possible. Then he can kill me. I don't care.
Is that before or after the Battle Scroll update with the hunt?
It was after, but it adds me only like 5 points, so it would end 45 anyway.
I can only assume this is one of your friends. They're asking, do you have any favorite parts of the Slaanesh lore, or do you know much about the Slaanesh lore? Or is your lore and your narrative about winning?
I'm listening to the lore. I'm not reading it that much. I rather to read just the rules of all armies. But I'm not like the Slaanesh guy. Yeah, I don't like pain.
People are teasing you. Look, certainly I'm curious to see what happens with Slaanesh as they're breaking free from the realm of light and shadow, especially now
But
that
I don't know if Games Workshop did that in purpose, but Slaanesh is really good against elves, against Lumineth, and that's narrative because he chases them. So maybe I am playing a little bit narrative here because I'm feeling very good against Lumineth Ramblers or Daughters or Idonets.
Perfect. It's exactly what happens. You're reclaiming your souls. Slaanesh got fat on souls in the end times. Got captured. Tzeentch kind of led the 4 Elven gods to find where Slaanesh was, and they chained him up. They up in Orgish. Talk to me about deployment. Got a couple of other burning questions. We'll kind of wrap this up. How do I deploy as a Slaanesh player? Because as you've mentioned already, they're so fast. So do I even need to worry about deployment? Do I deploy in a very fake way to kind of like psych out my opponent and then, move my speed to get where I really want to fight?
Yes, deployment is, I think, Warhammer is the game of deployment and movement because we all know what will happen in combat. You can count it. You can check the statistics. You can check the war score, and you will know what will happen there in shooting in combat. Yeah, and to avoid it, it's the movement and deploy. It's with the lurid haste and with the speed. It's really really easy to bait your enemy that he will think, okay, he's there, but then I am telling, okay, now it's time to go into deep strike. And very often, because people don't know Slaanesh, they are like have big eyes, and what are you doing now? And then especially if they have got a like slow army or like shooting army, it's easy to pay them. And then when you are fast, even if they deploy on the other side of the table, you wanted them to deploy, then you are fast, you can go really close to them quickly, and then deep stroke other units on the behind, on the sides, and just wrap him up around.
Jonathan's been asking a lot of questions, and this is like I've been ignoring him the whole stream because he's this is like the 7th time he's asked. Do you have any thoughts on allying in a mercenary Mega Gargant? A lot of points, 500 odd points. You've got the War Stomper out of the 3 options. Clearly doesn't have the Slaanesh keyword, so you're not going to generate depravity.
He will generate depravity.
Sorry, that was Sorry, I was thinking locust. Sorry, I was thinking locust. You're not going to be able to tap into those things. Thoughts on that 500 point wound sink that is a Mega Gargant?
I never tried him. I never thought about him, to be honest. Like it's 500 points, so I think it's better to take Glutos because he's more tough. He casts the spell. He can be general, and he's a hero. I don't know, to be honest. I will have to think about it. But War Stompers are not that good. They are good against like a Horde's army, and it's only 4+ save with and now and 35 wounds. But now the rosters, my list, it's made to kill the Gargant per turn. It can easily kill the Gargant, maybe not easily, but it can kill the Gargant per turn with average rolls. So a lot of lists can kill Gargant, and he only counts for 5 models in my army, not for 20 on the objective. So I think that might sound very weird, but Slaanesh has got better options than this Gargant.
And now that it's a priority target, you'll give away 2 extra VP on top of the 1 for being a monster.
I don't think it works. I don't think it works on the. I think it's excluding those Gargants.
No, Mega Gargant's a priority.
Yeah, but I thought that those mercenaries are not included.
Oh, yeah, interesting question. Yeah,
I'm not sure, but I think it's not. Maybe someone from the chat will know, but I'm not sure.
No, you might be right. You might be right because they've all got specific. While they're a War Stomper, they are a specific like Bundo, and they've got. You might be right. Actually, you might be right.
It's not going, but it's still like big base and 1/4 of the army in one model.
Yeah, no, good point. Yeah, and I think you are right because they are named Mega Gargants. They are a War Stomper, but they're definitely excluding mercenaries. Good call. But you will give away still 1 monster point for it dying.
Yeah.
Any advice for someone who might play a smaller battle, like 1,000 points? Like if you were going to run your list or you're going to run a Slaanesh list at 1K, any advice you'd give to me?
I think it's less points than easier because you summon and people not, but you also get less depravity points because there are less units. But if you summon like 30 demonettes, even if you will farm depravity till round 4 and summon 30 demonettes, so 500 points in round 4, that will bring big impact. Because it's 1,500 points against 1,000. So and I'm not a big fan of playing smaller games because I think iOS was created to play 2,000 points, but it's easier for Slaanesh when it's less points.
My advice would be to start off and buy the types of units that will help you grow into 2,000 points. You're right. Maybe you don't get all the big heroes, but like Senessa's for 260 points is still good value, right? Like it's not a big allocation.
Best thing for 1,000 point, I think, is to play God Seekers, bring Bladebringer on Exalted Chariot again, because he can have cool traits and cool artifact, and the tables are smaller. He's fast, so I think that's the good option for the hero there. And
plus, you can always buy things that are going to your summoning pool as well.
Yeah, of course. Summoning is always. I have 1 box for the army and 2nd box for the summoning.
Maybe the last question I've got for you. Actually, I was going to ask you one more thing. That's right. I had a question that I forgot about it, and I just remember it. White Dwarfs coming May is the Hedonites of Slaanesh update. what do you wish? Like, we have to watch this in a month's time and see how you're aligning. But if you had one wish for this White Dwarf update through the Tome Celestial, what is it that you would like to see for Slaanesh? Knowing they don't really rewrite War Scrolls, it's more about battle tactics, grand strategies, heroic actions.
Yeah, I've you asked this before. To be honest, I've said that I want this heroic action that it can gives me depravity points somehow, like hurting my own hero to just have some depravity, because it can change like instant depravity, not on the battle shock, but instant before the movement phase. That can be big impact on the battle. That's my wish. It can only be in this White Dwarf. It can only be one rule, and that I will be happy.
You did mention it. I wanted to see if there was anything else going to come out of it. I wanted to see. I wanted to see if there's anything else.
Yeah, now that's the biggest wish, but some battle tactics, some maybe monstrous rampage. But battle tactics and grand strategy, I think that can make life easy. Like, for example, I don't know, grand strategy or battle tactic is to summon unit for example, 6 or 7 depravity points. If you do this battle tactics, or if you summon for 10, then you get +1 point, something like this. That's some cool battle tactics that fits into the Slaanesh.
Yeah, and look, there's a lot of things that you can tap into, and people are asking, what are some of the other options? And look, we're not going to go through this because, Slaves to Darkness, Beasts of Chaos have such deep rosters. It's really about what's going to synergize with your force. The Chaos Sorcerer Lord is a good option. You can't tap into the Khorne Demon Prince because you can't have Khorne keyworded. I probably wouldn't touch the other Demon Princes. You mentioned the Marauder Horseman. We talked about the Mind Sphinx Kitty Cat. There are so many cool options. We talked about the Chimera, but also the Cockatrice. We talked about the Cygor. We talked about the Doom Bulls. There's, depending on what you want to tap into and what you're focusing around, depending on, I guess, what you're tapping into. But in your case, you're doing shooting and you're looking for mortal wounds. That's kind of the things that you brought in from your list. Is that a fair assumption?
Yeah, I think so, and and the control of the battle, because trying to have control by one drop and Bellacor, I think it's the best thing. Also, before the changes, Archaon was good in Slaanesh because with he was using like exploding sixes. Then with the Slayer of the Kings, he had more opportunity to just kill the hero in one shot.
But now Archaon doesn't benefit from allegiance abilities, he's now no longer. You wouldn't take him in your list, right?
No,
probably too expensive.
Yeah, too expensive now. But it was good. So it changes. Warhammer changes like every 3-4 months. When new battle tome comes, something new might show up to just take into your battle tome. So I'm for sure like in 1 or 2 months, maybe I won't be using that list anymore because something new will come up to just pick up to the army, and that's fine. And that's why people shouldn't close for the allies and coalition units, because it brings so much fun to just think about it, to read all this stuff and bring something that people might not expect to see.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, I'll reinforce what I said at the top of the show. This is not about the one single list that's going to rule them all. I'm not saying for you to go grab Mateusz's list, go run it at your next GT. Take what he's brought to the table. Think about either the way you use your summoning pool. You've provided some great insights there. Thinking about maybe the shooting attacks and kind of splitting out and generating more depravity. And again, you talked about the mortal wound shooting. That's really good for your hero hammer, safe stacking meta that we're kind of in at the moment. The speed and the lurid haze kind of works really well with a lot of that long range shooting. So if you need to go reach out and touch those long strikes, bow snakes, sentinels, blah, 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 you either can come from the side or you can use that real great speed of the Blissbarb archers with that base movement plus the run and shoot in order to reach out and tap them pretty quickly. So a lot of good ideas kind of being thrown around. But I think maybe last thing I'll say to you, is there anything that you want to share or anything that you want to like say thank you or say hello to or like big shout outs to?
One more thing about the AOS in general. When I am playing the GTs or tournaments, I think the preparation is the key to win. Because when I know that when the lists show up to the particular tournament. Like, few days or 1 week before, I'm always trying to read through all the lists. I always like printing them, put some notes on them and all that stuff. So when you're playing Dragons or Seraphon, you don't have to do it because your army helps you with it. But Slaanesh doesn't help. Yeah, Slaanesh only punish people and even the player who's playing it. So yeah, I think the preparation is very, very needed for the tournaments. Yeah, and I want to thank you for the invitation. That's big pleasure. I want to say just hi to people from the Szczecin and Poznań because they are helping me improve my skill. They always playing with me, always support me. So I wouldn't be able to win any games without them. So yeah, thanks to them.
I think the big key as well, Mateusz, is the fact that it shows that with deliberate practice, right? It's not about just tweaking your list constantly. It's about focusing. And you mentioned that, in a couple of months' time, you might stop playing this list. So focus, practice, look at the output, understand your army. And the people who do really well at tournaments are people who understand their armies first before they start really worrying about other people. So practice, find something, stick to it. But it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the channel. Big love to Poland. You guys are doing an absolute great job. And it was awesome to chat with you and get an understanding of Slaanesh because, again, you went 5-0. You've done very well in an army that is not doing well in a competitive point of view, but it shows that you can still win and there's still some great value. And as you've said, when you rock up with Slaanesh, people don't know what to expect. They've built their list thinking about the top 5, top 6 armies. When they come to you and you force those decisions and you're moving around the board really fast and you're coming in from the side and you're summoning and you're doing all these things, you can make your opponent make some bad decisions. So it's been an absolute pleasure understanding some of the crack science that you have.
Yeah, thank you very much. Also about this, people don't knowing what they should expect of the Slaanesh. Even if they we went to with my friends to Team Championship of Poland. I was playing Slaanesh, and we know like few days before the start the tournaments that we will play against one team, and they know they will play against us because the pairings were done, and they were like, and I was playing against Mega Gargants. I won this game, and he was like, how did you do it? I mean, we played against Slaanesh. We were trying to prepare for it, but Slaanesh is so bad army that you cannot win against the Gargants. But you can. Gargants can stay toe to toe with Slaanesh. To be honest, like every combat army can't win against Slaanesh. To be honest, Slaanesh has got so much control that he can beat all combat armies easily. So even if people trying to prepare, but they cannot sometimes prepare because they don't know what particular person think about this army, how this person play. And before you play with it, you don't know. But after game, it's just too late because Slaanesh can win.
Comes down to practicing. Practice. Learn from your mistakes, get better, and you will be ready to absolutely get all the depravity you can. But Mateusz, you've been an absolute legend. Thank you so much. Thank you for everyone who joined the stream. I hope you learnt a few things with Slaanesh, and hopefully you're able to, I don't know, summon on, not demonettes, because you don't want to summon those on, but
Chariots only. Remember, chariots are the best.
Oh, they're the worst. They're the worst to put together. I always prick myself. I'm always like bleeding from my hands, but I guess it goes well with the pain of Slaanesh.
That's the price. That's the price for the Slaanesh god. Yeah, bring the pain to yourself to get good results.
All right, let's log off. Thank you very much. Appreciate the stream.
Thank you very much.
Mateusz, you're a legend. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for sticking around until the end. I hope you found that video interesting and you walked away with a few new ideas. If you did, I would appreciate it if you hit like on the video, as well as left me a comment. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. The conversation will continue over on Discord, so links down below in the episode description if you want to join the Discord and continue the Age of Sigmar conversation. I want to give a massive shout out as well to these absolute bloody legends, these champions who have continued to support me through Patreon or YouTube members. That is going directly into supporting the maintenance and the growth of this channel. So thank you very much, guys. Much appreciated. And until next time, roll more sixes.